besides your documentary work, just when was it that you completed your feature film? The what is it called again? I can't think of the title now.
Well, I'm talking to you.
That's the one. Yeah. When was it that
Mm.
you screened that?
We had a screening in Indie Cork, and we in October of 2018, and we finished it just in around then. We finished it, I guess, a little bit before that. It was just a kind of that was a motivator for us when we got into that festival.
Yeah. Would you consider
Kind of
that
wrap
to
up
be
that
your
thing.
most ambitious project so far?
Oh yeah, I mean that was an insane project. I mean, my God, when I look back on that, I look back at our at how really fearless we were. I mean, compared to that, asking someone if I can film them is very much small potatoes. I mean, we did crazy stuff on that film, which probably no one should do, and I think we kind of did it just because we wanted to why did we well we wanted to just try and push it and to see what we could get out of some of our experimental methods that we did. Like we did a lot of experimentation on that film, and some of it paid off, and some didn't. But I think you have to be willing to experiment if you want to succeed. You know what I mean? I mean, I think the idea of success without experimentation is impossible. So we did a lot of experimentation and crazy things on that movie.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that movie. Yeah, very proud of that film.
Did you write the screenplay for that? The screenplay for
I
that?
wrote and directed it, and I
Mm.
co-edited it.
Wow. A bit of an Orson Welles there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I love Orson Welles. Orson
Yeah.
Welles is he's everyone's hero when you go to film school, isn't he? That's who you want to emulate.
He's yeah, definitely. I watch not only his films but his interviews as well. I love to just hear him talk. But what was that film? What was the story of that film?
Well, it's been a while since I've done any PR for the movie, but the if I did any, probably not. But the premise of that movie was the story of two guards who work on the M50, and one of the guards, Mark, discovers a pirate propaganda uh, radio signal, and the radio signal causes him to question his black and white view of the world.
Hmm. And you
I kind
wrote,
of had that idea in college, so I don't know if it rings any bells with you because I kind of had that idea for a while
but
until I
you
got
always
to.
had loads of ideas, Tom. You were
Oh,
one of the most creative of the bunch, I feel.
oh wow, I'm
I
flattered.
always no, but even back then, I liked to look at your stuff because there was a real vision behind it. I don't know. They were always different too. I remember your graduation film was like an experimental sort of an expressionist film of
Yeah, it
sorts.
was. We were, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always very ambitious, and I've always been fascinated with keeping up with whatever you've done. And so that film in particular, how did you have a big crew? Was it difficult to kind of put together?
Um, it was very difficult to put together, and it was very difficult to get put together. So to go into that because it's good to talk about it because I am quite proud of it, and it was a lot of effort by all of us who worked on it. Um, so I finished writing that. I wrote that kind of over the course of 2014. We started shooting in June 2015, and I'd worked on another independent feature film called Demon Hunter by Zoe Kavanagh, dropping names up here in Dublin. And we had worked on that film for about 4 or 5 weeks in I guess September of 2014 or whatever it was, and September 2014. And so when it came to my film, I took a lot of people off the crew of that and rolled them onto my film, including the producers of that film, Victor and Anna from Constant Motion Pictures, and it was produced under Constant Motion Pictures. And Victor and Anna, they produced I'm Talking to You, and they did a fantastic job in terms of supporting the script, helping me get kind of where it needed to go in pre-production. During shooting and during towards the end of pre-production, they helped me find a lot of locations because obviously so much of the film was set on the M50, and we couldn't film on the M50, which for people who don't know is a giant ring road in Dublin around Dublin, and so you can't film it obviously just because it's a motorway. So they helped me find a number of bridges and places that we could do some filming. Like there was a couple of bridges which were closed off to traffic, but you could still access on foot. So we were on a bridge where you could get this amazing backdrop. Like I think the mistake that so many people make on films, especially student films, that Matt and I can, uh, see or understand, is that they put people on a sofa against a wall, and there's no kind of backdrop, or there's no depth of field is the word I'm looking for. So the fact that we could film on the bridge, which was where we had a number of key scenes in the film, meant we had this amazing depth of field where you could see the Wicklow mountains in the background. You had all this traffic going past in the background, and that added a real sense of scale. And so we started shooting the film anyway. This is a long-winded answer now, I know, but I'll try and tidy it up a bit as possible.
This is all good
But
stuff.
yeah, okay, cool. So we started shooting that in June 2015, and I would say we shot for about 3 or 4 weeks, and we got a lot of really interesting stuff. It wasn't stuff that any of us were completely satisfied with, even though we filmed what was in the script, and we filmed, I think, virtually all of the script except for one scene where we had a location dropout, and we had about 15 people on the crew, I think, at the height of it. Certainly 11 or 12, but I think it certainly went up to 15 at the beginning of it. And so we shot it for those 4 weeks. And keep in mind, these were people who were taking time off work or were working part time, still had to pay their bills if they had rent coming in. So it was a film that was made under a lot of you always have that internal pressure of making a film, whether it's the money running out or it's locations dropping or whether it's trying to make a day and get out of a place. But there was a lot of external pressure on that movie in terms of people trying to, pay their rent and try to pay their bills while also trying to do something extremely creative. Be it the producers, be it the sound people we had. Sam, who did a great job on sound, Victor and Anna were working. And who else we had? Nick Rowe and Barry and Aidan and Jed. Aidan, our main actor, had to take time off work to do it. So, and it was lucky at that time in Dublin, it wasn't as high pressure as it is now in terms of rents. Like 2015, you were kind of somewhat coming out of the recession, but the kind of extreme capitalism that kind of came over us after 2016, 2017 hadn't happened yet. So it wasn't as crazy as it got later, but it was pretty crazy. But so we shot him out for those 4 weeks. We shot some really cool, some interesting experimental stuff that I was certainly interested in. We shot some cool kind of theatrical stuff in terms of filming a car moving when it wasn't really moving. We had some, people going past with the lights, which was actually inspired by Orson Welles. And then I think for August, so for July, August, then I went away because I got work on another Irish film called Handsome Devil. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Handsome
We shot
Devil.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I worked in July and August 2015, and we kind of took a step back, and we'd look at all the footage and assess what we had, because obviously we'd shot for about 3 weeks, I would say, over the course of June, and we just needed a period to assess what we had. I think all of us kind of felt that we needed to film a bit more, but we weren't sure what it was because we had shot, like I said, 80 or 90% of what was in the script. So we had our amazing editor, Adam Symes, edited the picture, and he kind of edited the movie for a couple of months. And it was kind of decided that there was some stuff in the movie that was, as in all the case, that wasn't as strong as the other stuff. So over the rest of the period, from I would say October to January 2015 to 2016, we reshot not a lot of it, but substantial amounts of it on weekends and when time was available, because we weren't able to block book people off in the way that we had been doing during the summer. I remember one of our last days shooting was when David Bowie died, and we were just going out to film in Strawberry Fields in Dublin, and David Bowie had died that morning. So I think that was like one of the last days of the shoot, and then we kind of so we had been filming on and off for 6 months, with people coming and going, and the crew had got stripped down as well. From the 15 people that we started off with to maybe five or six key individuals by the end of shooting. And obviously, I'm extremely grateful to all those people who came on. They all did a fantastic job. And then from kind of difficult to to stretch the mind back to exactly when what happened where,
Yeah.
especially when a project goes on for so long.
Yeah, but you
But
put in you put in a lot of work into this
we put in a lot
project.
of work, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And when we shot that initial kind of bulk of filming, it was a lot of work to kind of go back and assess what was good and what wasn't. So we shot some scenes a second time. We took out some plots, we took out some characters, and we had to kind of slightly. You can't change the whole film, but you can slightly, nudge it in a different direction, a little bit more to where you think it'll be a bit more successful.
Yeah.
And I would assume then over 2016 we spent the rest of that editing with Adam and Victor and Anna, and it was very much a collaborative process, which I think is what I'm proudest of. I didn't want it to become, the show, all about me. It was an ensemble kind of cast, and it was very much an ensemble crew who kind of made it. Like anyone who had an idea, we would listen to them. And there were some scenes, like there was one scene where the characters went into a takeaway, and we just improvised a whole scene of dialogue of them. They go in, they order some hamburgers and chips, and while they are standing there and they are waiting for the order to come, they just make some dialogue up about their characters, and that was really fantastic.
I think I saw that scene actually.
Yeah, you might have, because I was really proud of that scene, and so I shared that a good bit. All that stuff we shot with Aidan and Jed on the road, that was just really fantastic stuff. Yeah, I'm really proud of that anyway. Yes, I'm really proud of it and really grateful to everyone